we have an AI topic that affects everyone, regardless of profession or industry or level of AI understanding. And Paul, you had actually published a post and created the idea behind this topic. And
Yeah.
it's called the law of uneven AI distribution. And what you wrote is this quote, the law, the value you gain from AI and how quickly and consistently that value is realized is directly proportional to your understanding of, access to, and acceptance of the technology. And kind of what that means is that this uneven distribution of AI is going to create dramatic differences in people's experiences with and perceptions about artificial intelligence. And it's going to profoundly impact how much you can reap the rewards, the benefits of AI in your personal life and in your professional life, how much value your company can extract from the technology, and what your AI journey actually looks like. So, like you alluded to, there's these three factors that influence the distribution of AI's benefits: how well you understand it, firstly; second, the access you have to AI; and third, how much you accept the radical changes that AI is going to bring about in business and society. So, first up, can you kind of unpack this idea behind the law of uneven AI distribution for us a bit more?
Yeah, it's something I've been thinking about for a long time, and I just wasn't sure how to put it into words. And then just like ongoing conversations sort of drove me to have to like figure this out and be able to explain it in a logical way. Um, and a couple of things that really drove the creation of this was conversations I've been having with leaders at enterprises and highly regulated industries, where they're like, "We don't have access to ChatGPT. No, I haven't tried it. We can't use it.
Hmm.
It was shut off like on day 2." So you realize like, oh, okay, there are issues with one, people aren't even going to be allowed to use these tools in their organization. And so they are inherently not going to receive the benefits of AI because they're not allowed to use them. So that was top of mind. Then I was hearing examples of people getting it shut off because their organization realized they were putting confidential information into these tools to help train them or to get better results out of them. So, copy and paste some confidential proprietary information, throw it into Chat GPT and get an output. Not thinking about the fact that, oh, wait, we don't even know what Chat GPT or OpenAI does with this data.
Hmm.
So again, you can see why organizations would take these steps. The same was happening in higher education and even in middle schools and primary education. So I've been having conversations with leaders of universities and then leaders of school districts who are trying to figure out, what do we even do about this stuff? Do we teach kids about it? Do we limit their access? Do we embrace it and actually help them understand it? And so again, those students' ability to use these tools and understand them is actually being dictated in part by what was being allowed to be used. Then I looked at my own personal use. There's all these fascinating AI tools. There's things I see every day, like the one I think you and I talked about, like the infusion of it into like Google Sheets, where it just starts like doing narratives based on your data. And my first reaction is, well, who is this company that I'm giving access to my data? So there's all kinds of confidential information, whether it's my personal life or in business, where I have that stuff sitting in Google Sheets or a Google Doc, and like, what company am I allowing to access that information? And what are they doing with that data? Is it going to then be extracted to train future models? Is like my data going to end up in some training set? So because I know how these models learn, I realize I might be a bit of an outlier of like my unwillingness to give access to these things in my personal life. But like Lenza, for example, when that was blown up, I wouldn't use it. Like
Hmm.
I didn't feel comfortable with giving my data to this company that I didn't really know. And so I just started thinking about these different examples of why I might not receive the benefits of AI or even get to the point where I even comprehend it because I can't use it. And that was really like the impetus for why I kind of like started thinking like, how do I explain this in words and kind of put it in a digestible way that outlines for people like the things that are going to affect your ability to benefit from AI.
That makes a ton of sense. And so, just to kind of bring this home and connect the dots here for people, it's like the reason we're talking about this is not only because these issues are extremely important when you are adopting AI, but really the high level idea here, it sounds like, is that the future will be determined by how AI is adopted and used, both in our personal lives and our business lives. So, it sounds like that's really why this matters. Like, obviously, everyone's really busy trying to figure out all the different tools. Some don't even have time to sit around and worry about AI. But why is this important for marketers and just individuals to really address right now?
Well, I think the promise when we look at these major research labs like OpenAI and DeepMind and some of these others, Stability AI, where they're all pursuing intelligence, like these smarter applications under the premise of like abundance. Like that if we
Mm,
solve for intelligence and we build all these smarter applications, we're just going to live better, more fulfilled lives where we just have limitless access to goods and services and wealth. And, it's kind of this utopian view of where AI goes. And so that was the other thing I started thinking about. I was like, well, that's not going to be true. Like the rich may get richer because they understand it, they have access to it, and they're generally accepting of what it does for them. So, yes, like organizations that are very forward thinking, those people will benefit. They will build smarter companies.
mm,
Individuals, people who are at kind of the forefront of this, they too will benefit. But then I just started thinking about the distribution across the rest of society and the rest of the business world. It's like, well, there's a very decent chance this promise of abundance is going to be unevenly distributed to the people who already have abundance in their
mm,
lives. And so I think that, the key for me was we need to create an awareness that this isn't an even playing field, that AI isn't going to be. And now, in some cases, you will willingly choose not to take those benefits. So, like, for example, we talk about in your personal life, the benefits personalization, convenience, abundance, fulfillment, happiness. If you allow these AI tools to create all the things that they're capable of creating for you, if you give it access to your life, you understand what it is, and you're willing to accept that you're giving some data up in exchange for this and maybe some of your privacy, but to you, the personalization and convenience is worth it, great. You will absolutely benefit from it. But if you're someone who's more private, you don't want to have having access to that data and you don't necessarily trust the providers, then you're not going to necessarily see those benefits, but you're making that choice. In the other cases where you're not allowing it as a business because you're in highly regulated industry, so you can't, it's not even your choice. Like you
mm.
just happen to work in an industry or for a company that isn't going to allow access to these tools. And when we're talking about generative AI and predictive applications, it needs access to data to do what it does, and to really fulfill the promise and give you the full benefits. So I think there's going to be this fine mix between you're going to make choices that determine how much you benefit from AI. And then in other cases, your position in life, whether it's you can't afford the tools or you work in these different organizations, or maybe you're in a country that doesn't have access to these, is shutting off access. So it's going to be this mashup between, making choices and then having choices made for you that's going to dictate how much you benefit from AI. And so what you're going to see this play out as is like people online will start questioning, oh, AI is really not doing what it was supposed to do. We're not seeing the benefits. I don't really see it. Like everybody's, hyping this up. And it's like, well, you just may not have the same distribution of the benefits for these reasons we're talking about. And so that was, again, really my goal here was to help people realize you may have a totally different perspective on AI because the benefits and features may not be as distributed to you as they are to other people. And the people who have all this access and fully understand the technology and embrace the fact that they're given some stuff up in the process, they may reap more benefits and rewards from AI than you do.
So it sounds like one step is kind of figuring out your level of comfort with kind of the data you're willing to give up in exchange for those benefits that AI provides. What are a couple other steps we could leave the audience with before we shift topics?
Yeah, so I outlined three things at the end of that post. And again, we'll link to the post in the show notes. But the first was to be curious and explore it. So seek the knowledge, whether it's books, podcasts, documentaries, courses, TikTok videos, or just testing like ChatGPT, whatever it is, you have to understand it in order to maximize the potential positive impact on your personal and professional life. So, like curiosity, go find more knowledge about it. Listening to podcasts, like if you just listen to this every week, that's fine as long as you're doing something to be like staying at the cutting edge of what is possible. The second is the data. Your family and your company are willing to give up in exchange for convenience, personalization, and all the other benefits. And the last was to consider your company's policies and principles around AI usage and do what you can to ensure a balance between innovation and the responsible application of those technologies. So it was kind of It was a hard post to write, honestly, and by the way, I used 0 AI in writing the post. It because I was trying to blend between personal and professional lives and trying to find, like, principles that applied to both. So yeah, like, read the post. I'd love to hear from people, once they've had a chance to take a look at it or listen to this and, get your thoughts on it. Because sometimes, like, we're just putting ideas out into the world just to start conversations, and this was definitely one of them where I was like, "I don't know how people are gonna react to this idea." But I'm always happy to hear feedback from people and take a different perspective on some of this stuff.